Right, well I'm back in the back. If you watched a couple of videos, you'll know that I finally managed to get this wall painted. I've also, for this part back here, I've given it a couple of coats of varnish. The paint, if you've watched the previous video, you know that I'm a bit low on paint at the moment, so I've got plenty of varnish. Well, not plenty, but I've got more varnish, so I've varnished that, which will be inside a cupboard. And then further down, I've actually not even going down the grades. I've actually, where behind the kitchen cupboards are going to be, I've actually just used some of the waterproof PVA diluted, which is a sealer. It's almost, it's a very close cousin to the varnish these days. And I've got lots of it left, and said it's not going to be ever visible, so I thought, why not? Anyway, so this entire run is now prepared, sealed, and so it means I can move on to some bit of plumbing specifically for the heater. When I say heater, the stove has got a tiny little back boiler which I'm planning to connect up to a couple of radiators and a calorifier, dink dink, which is next to me. So here we are, and lots of bits which I ordered these again. I ordered these a few weeks ago, and they've all got a purpose, but now I'm having to remind myself where they all go. So they're going to be a bit of thinking time, and it's also been a while since I've done any. This is all copper. It's a while since I've done any copper soldering. So, well, in fact, these are all end-feed. I have never used end-feed before. I've just used the soldering. So I'm going to have a practice. I bought a few smaller parts to have some goes on and see. Get my hand on it. But the idea, two things. These large there's so many of them in the large. These are a lot cheaper, and also if you can get the technique right, the actual finish looks a lot nicer. These will be exposed than the soldering with the little bump where the solder is. That's the idea anyway. Let's see how it goes. So I've set the first sort of pipe gauge in with a piece of string. Just to check I know where it has to come in from the stove, and I know where it has to go in here with the calorifier, and to check that there was I had checked before, but to recheck that there is a slight gradient upwards, which you need for a gravity system. Even the fact that the boat is on a wonk to the stern, which is good, because as you often see with boats, when the fuel tank is full, that can happen. So the idea is that the gravity heating should still work even when that's the case. One of those unexpected detours. I really didn't expect to be doing any good work in the coming few days. However, I wanted to fix the radiators to the sides, so I know where I'm plumbing to, as it were. And however, this is one of these things that you difference between houses and boats. With a house, as presumably it's on an outside wall, you can drill it anywhere. However, even though it's a small radiator, it's still, even without water, pretty heavy. And I realised, this is only because of my bodge up. This is the only 9mm thick. So I thought I'd better reinforce it. Yes, I could align one of the sides with one of the stiffening ribs, and I didn't. It was way beyond me to plan to have a batten in the right place for the radiator brackets behind. That would have been the ideal solution, and I'm sure there are better boat builders than me that think about that. However, I didn't. So what I'm going to do is I've made this. That was the wood. So I'm basically going to make a sort of strengthening platform and put that on there. I will screw and glue that then to the back, and then that will spread hopefully the load a little bit more, and we'll just have a couple of screws ripping it out. Unless that means though I'll have to then of course now paint these, so that's kind of taking the wind out of my sails on that item of progress. However, there are plenty of other things I need to think about. For instance, how to get the exact, well, not how to. I've thought about it once, but I need to check that my idea to get the connection of the calorifier in is right, because I'm about to put yet another plumbing order in. So if there's any new parts, I should get them now and get it all in one order. And while we're talking about not thinking ahead, I fess up to my mistakes, and there's a plug here which I honestly, and I'm not just saying this because of the mistake. I just put this there because it's not for anything really. I just thought there should be a plug in the vicinity because there's not one for a long time. Anyway, it just clashes with the where the pipe needs to go. However, it's not, all is not lost. And by the way, I put just this one socket in because I thought, God, there's a pipe going to be here. I'm going to, might as well put the plug in. Now it's painted, I can do that. But just if I do need to use this plug here, all I need to do is just put a double adapter in, and that sticks the socket out past the pipe. So all is not lost, but not perfect planning, I have to say. Right, the day after, and thank you very much to Paul for giving me the chunky little screws that were needed to screw these in. You know, you always read that tip about how, to improve the performance of radiators, put some foil behind them. I always thought, well, how the hell are you going to actually get the foil neatly behind the radiator? Anyway, as I'm doing it, I thought, well, what the heck, I might as well have a go. And, the tiny radiators probably make a tiny difference, but why not? 2 mini rads. I've got a couple of pipe bends to do, and I was going to use my faithful old pipe spring. I borrowed the decent proper tools from the boatyard, which is very kind of them to lend it to me. And I have to say, it makes it such a joy. It's just rather than whacking this in the pipe over your knee, it comes out much nicer. But I have to say, also, it's about 10 years since I've done any proper plumbing, and I absolutely swear that they don't make pipes like they used to. And they seem so much thinner than they used to be. So they're easy to bend, that's for sure, but their longevity is a whole nother matter. I'm just slightly out of pipe, which is a bit annoying, but I didn't want to overorder because it's so expensive. Anyway, so it's yet another evening trip to Tool Station and yet another 6 gates there and back, but at least it's light on the way out. I don't think it will be on the way back, but it's far nicer to do it like this. However, alas, the pipe bender isn't infallible, especially with this thin and flimsy pipe. You can see it's quite a nasty kink there, which I thought I could just about get away with, but then the next one is completely and utterly ruined, so I'll have to cut these out and replace them with some regular fittings anyway. Another delivery snafu, only this time it's DPD, not to Hermes, just to make a change. And I'm waiting on some crucial parts that I hadn't. Of course, I missed off the big order first time. I've had to order second time. So I've done as much as I can without the parts, which is a fair amount of cutting up and things. And then while I was waiting last night, what I've just done is not final thing, but one of the things I had to do is, obviously this, when it's full of water, will be a 70-pound weight. And when I invariably bash the boat into the side and it come to a sudden stop, I don't want that falling forward. So I've secured this down as best as I can. So there's that stool that you saw with a cameo appearance many episodes ago. So that's screwed to the floor. Meanwhile, underneath inside there is metal straps that are screwed into the stool and into the metal body of not the actual tank, but the metal supporting ring of the tank. And then at the top, as you can see, I've got this basically metal band which is then screwed into the wall, which is then that's screwed top and bottom into the actual joists. So all in all, it shouldn't be it's pretty sturdy now. So hopefully that won't go flying when we invariably crash, which we will. Right then, well, many days later, I've cut everything into the correct shape and got the right bends, etc. Ed and Rachel, if you're still watching, remember that pipe you ripped out from Veloci from the Finrads? Well, so the 22mm there is that old pipe. I've scraped the paint off and polished it up, and as you can see, it's come out very nicely. So that was very useful. Thank you.
Anyway, the rest of it, it said, is all done. Oh, and my first proper bodge, as it were. Oh no, it's not a bodge, but this is the header tank for the heating. And rather than paying £75 plus VAT for a 5 litre plastic tank, I cut the top off one of the MD wood preserving tins that I've had, and put a tank fitting in the bottom and painted it. As you can see, I made a little lid. I know it looks quite convoluted, but remember, I'm having to plumb this into the second-hand tank that I got from Jack. And had I bought a new one, the inlets and outlets would not be where they are. So I've just had to make the best of what there is, and anyway, I've managed it. The rest of it is done. I say the rest of it. I haven't done down by the stove connections yet.
The logic being that until I actually get the flue in, if I have to move the stove a few centimetres, I can then correct the right size rather than trying to... it's easier to move the piping rather than the flue.
So now I've actually got to get this all soldered together.
So I'm starting on the small, less visible pieces, because I'm sure that we'll muck this up to somewhat. This is certainly not a how-to video. Well, no prices for elegance, but hopefully that's worked. Perversely, and not what I was expecting, actually the larger pipe was slightly easier. And then there was this one in the middle, which I was far too ambitious to try and get 2 joints in that tiny area. But hey, anyway, the thing is not to touch this for a while it cools, and then I will have a look, see. So I've done the fiddly bits, which are right at the back, sort of off the installation, as it were. But for the rest of it, I'm going to try and do it in situ, because if I try and take this off, even if I measure, try and mark where the angles are, it's just going to end in disaster. I mean, this way could end in disaster as well if I stop burning the place down, but it shouldn't. I might end up scorching it. I've got some tiles behind there and the heat mat. So hopefully, this bit's hidden anyway, so if I do get a little light scorching, it's not the end of the world. And if I do further down in the radiators, I'll just get the paintbrush out. But it seems it's slightly the easiest way. Of course, you have to undo everything, clean it up, put some flux on it, so it's still a bit laborious. But yeah, if it's done, then means hopefully it's done. Ugh. Well, I'm not entirely convinced by the back one, which was the hard one to get to, but the others hopefully are okay. Time will tell. One thing I've found is they, in general, on watching YouTube videos, recommended that the solder amount of solder you use is about the diameter of the pipe, and I'm finding that's far too much. So I'm kind of just eyeballing it at the moment. Right, well, that's that done. I mean, I say done. all this soldering. Of course, I can't. It's got to be finished off yet. It is not yet a complete circuit, but yeah, and I have to say I'm quite pleased with that. Oh God, that's sorry, that sounds very modest. But no, I am. I'm blowing my own trumpet, but it's come out quite well, I think. So that's a jumble here, and there you see. You saw ages ago that accumulator. That's installed now, and then the hot water out. That's all the jumble you saw before, but is now all soldered in place, and there are the radiators. And basically I started there. I did along the bottom, and then the last ones I did at the top. And I have to say that it's very much blowing my trumpet, but for completely first attempt, total amateur job. There you have the top two. Certainly, I think have come out quite well. Especially given that my blowtorch was a housewarming present about 15 years ago, which is actually a creme brulee torch. But a butane flame is a butane flame, and as you can see, it works absolutely fine. I've done vastly more plumbing with it than I've been doing making creme brulees, which I think I've done once. However, I should really save the pat on the back until I actually get the circuit completed and filled with liquid and see if there are any leaks. I suspect there always have been any time I've done any plumbing before, if only not on the compression joints, which sometimes, although I've done them up tight, sometimes they take more tightening than you think. So let's see. However, I've got a bit more to do before this thing is filled with liquid, so we'll have to wait for the outcome. Morning. Well, like some Japanese just-in-time system that is completely coincidental and nothing to do with my planning, the flue has arrived. Which I was delighted at until I started unpacking it, and I see that they have sent the wrong part. This 15-degree bend should be slightly taller and have a clean-out door in it. And I've had to order from the company that make these don't sell to the public, so the boat builder has very kindly ordered these for me, and so I'm having to go do everything via this. And it seems that it's out. This is one digit out of the ordering code wrong, and alas, even worse. Not even alas, even worse. I've just got an email saying that they've supplied this because the other one isn't stocked anymore. Well, stocked. They don't make them anymore. So I'm a bit screwed, to use the word. So I'm going to have to work out what to do next. It's the weekend about to arrive, so I can't really do much. I can't pester the boatyard anymore, so I'll have to wait until Monday to try and work something out. And I also know about having edited the video. I know that I'm massively over my my sort of 15 minutes. So I will have to wait till Monday, and you will have to wait till next video to see how I get through this. But taking the wind out of my sails a bit, I have to say. Anyway, in the meantime, thanks for watching, and I will catch you later.